So when you're painting a snowy day, everything in the background is very hard to see. It becomes mostly white. So we are starting with pure white in the background and then just adding a tiny bit of black and really making a gray out of it, a little bit darker around the edges. Doing a second coat, same thing, just making sure that you have the whole canvas complete. And making sure you have that gray on the sides. The gray on the sides is going to be the closer to you areas. So that's why I'm doing it around the edge for this particular painting. Now we'll start painting this background. And this is white trees. They're pine trees, so they're going to be completely full of paint. You can vary your sizes a little bit. Very easy technique here. Kind of sloppy. Green, black, and mostly white. So it's a gray with a green base. And this is going to be in the foreground, what's closer to us. Again, just doing some pine trees. And I'm putting my branches down because the weight of the snow would be pushing it down. This is an older brush I'm using, so the bristles are already a bit separated, and that works well for something like this. You want to save some of your old brushes for techniques like this. Wider at the bottom, more narrow as you go up, and I'm just adding just another variation of color in here. Just the black and white throughout, and that's it. Now we're going to paint some snow. Little lumpy up front here. And this snow you can take in a couple different directions. You can make it look bumpy as if someone's walking on it. In the background though, you want to keep your lines going horizontal and much smoother. That gives you more distance. And sneak it right up to that tree. The reason I did not do the background snow first, and I had to go up to the edge of my tree, is because I wanted my green gray to be that color. And we're going to add some white to the top of the tree branches so it won't matter. Everything will blend in nicely. Just white, back and forth and back and forth. In our midground, we're going to put an all white tree. Still using that brush that's been beat up a little bit, separated bristles. You see how easy? I am not spending a whole lot of time on this. Really fast. For this one, I didn't even speed it up. That's just how fast we're doing it. There was a little green on that brush, so I wiped that off and then added more white to the surface. Now we'll add another tree here in the foreground, very similar to the color that we used with the green gray on the right hand side. Now we'll do it on the left hand side. Same technique, another tree. It's loading up your brush and pushing it in. And then working your brush until you don't have any more paint on it. And that's how you get the bristly fern look. Now I'm going back for more paint. So that's how long I used my brush with paint on. Pretty long. Just adding a couple shadows in there. Time to get our white freshened up a bit. Another layer of just the white paint makes a difference, brightening it up. I'm still keeping some low points, shaded points. So if you make sure that you keep some of your gray in there, that's your shadow. Add some more bright white back in through here too. And then just because I thought this tree here is more mid-ground, so I did not go as green as my side foreground trees. I just added a little hint more of color. Mix a bit of water in here. Pretty thin consistency so that when you push your brush against the side, you can see it drip down. Now I will show you two different techniques. This one is just taking your brush and kind of pouncing it on your hand. It is super messy, but it really does give you the illusion. Now this is the other way. So you can brush it against your fingers. When you do this, you have to make sure your brush is going down and your fingers are going up. If you do it the other way, you will shoot yourself in the face with paint. So don't do that. And then you can go back to whichever technique you like. Time to put the snow on the trees. Make sure your trees are dry before you do this. Otherwise, it'll just be a lighter green going on instead of white snow. So I'm pushing it in place. I'm loading up the brush pretty much. So this is a more wet technique. Push it on, separate it a little bit, move on to the next section. And you don't want it too uniform. Make some of your blobs bigger. Make some of them run together. Add anywhere else you think you need it brighter. Now this was our watered down paint, so I wanted to make it a little bit thicker. So you have the splatter from in underneath. So some of that will be lighter, and then you can splatter again. It'll be thicker and look a little different. And now I'm using the back of my brush and I'm just poking it into the paint and then poking it onto my canvas. Again, you do not want to keep this uniform. You want to just kind of spread it out all over the place. Some flakes are going to be bigger, some are smaller, some are closer together. That is how snow looks when it falls. Here's our finished picture. Now some of my little dots here look thick, so I'm taking a rag and I'm just gently blotting them. There's a drip there. I want to just blot it. You can also use your finger. And just look around and make sure it looks the way you want it to look.